Millions in infrastructure work is underway in Jefferson Parish, including the city of Kenner.
And Sabrina Wilson shows us some of the work that's designed to improve the quality of life.
Veterans Boulevard in Metairie. Veterans Boulevard in Kenner. Infrastructure projects are abundant. Between David Drive and the I-10 on-ramp, a $1.5 million Jefferson Parish government project is underway.
We're building a new multi-use path that will connect what will ultimately be the Sognac Greenway, which is another multi-use path that's coming along the banks of the Sognac Canal, over to Downs Boulevard. So it'll connect to Lafreniere Park. So the goal is to connect both the Chappelle neighborhood and the neighborhood surrounding Lafreniere Park to the park for both pedestrians and for bikers.
It should be completed in the spring of 2024.
It's going to be 10 feet wide, concrete path divided, so it will be safe riding and walking for our pedestrians.
Not far away down Veterans, more construction that's under the city of Kenner's purview.
It's a new overlay, and we're adding a much-needed northbound turn lane from westbound Veterans to northbound Williams.
And entirely on Williams, even more work. This is a $15.5 million 19-month project. Kenner Mayor Mike Glazer.
We're eliminating the dual turning lane in the middle, adding some bike lanes, adding some new signals, and some new streetscaping and lights for the beautification and safety.
On West Esplanade in Metairie, another Jefferson Parish government project. Angela DeSoto is the parish's director of engineering.
We have two small sewer lift stations, one at Richland, one at Cleary on the north side of West Esplanade, that have been combined, eliminated, and they're being combined into one larger lift station. That project is $2.8 million, and construction should be complete within about a month.
Back in Kenner, a $6 million project is planned for Roosevelt Boulevard between West Napoleon and West Metairie.
It is in several years past its use. So it's in a design phase now. We hope to start construction within 12 months. It has about an 8-foot wide median that has trees, that the canopies are too big now for the roadway, and the roots are now damaging the roadway. So we're going to eliminate approximately 28 trees in the median, repair some of the drainage work in that median, and then resurface the roadway.
Also here in Kenner, there are plans for improvements along Veterans between Williams and Loyola Drive, an area near the airport.
Which is the entrance to the new airport. That we're going to add a walking path, sidewalk, and a bike lane.
And that was Sabrina Wilson reporting. Angela DeSoto of the Jefferson Parish government says the project on Veterans in Metairie is funded with federal grant dollars, Parkway Overlay Zone funds, and funds from Council District 4. The West Esplanade work is funded by a 2017 sewer bond program, and she says they are doing work on the West Bank of Jefferson Parish as well. And the work on Williams and Kenner is funded with federal, state, and local dollars.